up, y'all? It's your girl. If you live in a building, you already know what it is. Thank you for tuning into this video once again. Go ahead and take this opportunity to like, comment, and subscribe, and join the fam. The day that I woke up and realized what actually happened, what went down, my injuries, this was the moment that I realized that, life has changed for me. This is the moment that I realized that, I was hurt. I woke up and I looked around the room and I saw my mom and my friend and I was like, what happened? And they looked at me and they were like, you were in an accident. And then I remember I looked down and I saw these large rods in my hips. And I'm like, am I paralyzed? And they're like, no, you're not paralyzed. When the accident initially happened, I was in and out of consciousness for a while. And it was really the moment until I was conscious again and realized what actually happened to me is when life and reality hit me out of nowhere. Life was now served to me. This was a new reality for me. Waking up with a cracked skull, waking up with a tube in my chest, waking up with rods in my hips, and waking up with the news that I won't be able to walk for 6 months to a year. Life was no longer the same. Life was no longer regular. I was an enabled person, now disabled completely. I could not do things on my own. I could not walk on my own. I couldn't even speak without assistance of using my hand. This was my new reality, and it was a hard thing to face at the time because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why I was going through this. I even asked God at one point, why? Why me? In the midst of my confusion and not understanding God, He was still an understanding God. He was still there with me in the darkest times when I did not understand why life was going the way it was going. He was still guiding my steps because He said He's the author and the finisher of our faith. So even though I'm sitting there freaking out, not knowing why I'm in this situation as to why I am disabled at this point, He was there. He already had that down packed and He already finished the story. It's until you reach out of your trials and tribulations till you realize that, okay, that's why it was for me. And I always look at it, God doesn't give us more than we can bear. And if I went through that, I'm looking at God like, okay, so you see me as Samson strong. You see me as strong. I had my frustrated moments in that hospital. I had my moments where, I just felt like screaming because it was hard. It was hard. When you see a situation like mine, God was showing who He is, and He's just that amazing. So when people see me taking my selfies, taking my photos, and I'm like, just leave it alone. Leave it alone, because there was a point in time that I couldn't do so. There's a point in time that, that wasn't an option that I wanted to do. I did not want to even be seen. Did I know that I was going to make it this far? When I initially was given my injuries, I did not know. I did not know what to expect. But when I put it in the hands of God, I just left it to Him, and He just showed out. And here I am today. Your faith makes such a huge difference. And without it, I truly don't know where I would be right now if I did not have faith. And I think that's one thing that God really appreciates when you put Him to His word. God, I already know that you got this. I already know that you got this. The situation is yours. It's handled. And that's that. This is a story where it's not common for people to bounce back. And, it just shows the grace of God. God has brought me through too much. And it's crazy because when you know what God has brought you through, you can care less about everything else because He showed you the giants that you can face and that you can conquer. And God is cool. He's a cool God. So I hope that this encouraged you. Please stay tuned next week for my next video on my rehab journey, which was one of the hardest part of my journeys because I did have to come to the reality side of what was going on. See you next week.